Nobody's coming to save you. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back. My name is Ashanti, and thank you for joining me. So today we are going to be discussing chapter 3 of my book, New Perspective. Now, chapter 3 is detailing my experiences after therapy had ended and I had unpacked over 20 years of emotional and childhood trauma that I had stored within me that was causing me to sabotage myself in all of my efforts that I had put into building my life over the past 15 years. I pretty much had an emotional breakdown after my mother passed away in 2013 that triggered all these emotions to come to the surface, and I really had no choice but to deal with them. Well, I had a choice. I made the choice to deal with them instead of just spending time trying to stuff them back down or being in denial that they even existed. So I decided to keep working on myself, even though therapy had ended for me after 6 weeks. I decided to keep working on myself because after I had cleared out and unpacked all of that emotional baggage, I started to connect with myself again, and I started to feel alive and happy again. And I felt like, I could get better if I continue to do the work. So that's what I decided to do. Now, the next step for me was going to church. And if you want to read all about that experience, it's in the book, 3rd chapter. And that opened me up to my spiritual journey, which I had never heard of it before. I had no idea what it was, how to be on a spiritual journey, any of it. But by reading Jesus' teaching in the Bible, it sparked something within me that made me come alive and want to continue to get to know myself. So I really buckled down and just reuse the things, the tools that I learned in therapy. See, therapy is just not about unpacking and opening up. It's also about gaining the tools to continue to progress. I know a lot of people go to therapy for years. A lot of us cannot afford to be in therapy our entire lives. So the most important thing to do if you do decide to go to therapy is to gain those tools to be able to continue to grow and learn, because things are still going to happen. Life is still, moving around you. So things are going to happen that you need the tools to deal with, instead of resorting back to your old self or the old way you used to do things, stuffing things down, not dealing with them, sweeping things under the rug, those types of things. So now that I had the tools, it was a little easier for me to understand what I was going through. So, excuse me, my back is itching. Sorry, guys. Yeah, so it was easier for me to understand the things that I was going through, because I was not only going through human things. I was going through spiritual things as well. I was spiritually depressed, which means I was so disconnected from who I was within that these things were just crying. My true authentic self was crying to be heard, to be addressed, to be understood, to be acknowledged, that it's even there. I got to wondering, and I had a lot of questions, like, why was I on the planet? What was my purpose? Because during therapy, I realized that a lot of things that I was doing was not things that I really wanted to do for myself. They were kind of suggested to me through other people, and I like the way it sounds, so I kind of went along with it. So during therapy and unpacking, I realized that the kind of life that I wanted was not the same life that I was living when I started therapy. So I had a lot of questions for myself. So when my therapy sessions had ended, I thought the next best thing for me was to start going back to church. Now, I didn't really grow up in church, but I had been to church numerous times. But so I started there. Um, when I started church, my heart was open, and I felt great, and I just wanted to continue learning and growing. Um, while I was doing that, that's when I realized that, this journey was more than just about my human side. It was also about my spiritual side of who I am. So I went from evaluating my human emotions to getting in contact with my spiritual self, and trying to blend the two together. So um, I had never really been taught about spirituality and being connected with yourself through your spirit, and also connecting through God by your spirit. So this was very enlightening, and it also gave me the confidence to keep moving on my journey and keep learning and to keep growing. So I had to quickly, get up to speed and learn, how to connect spiritually, and also how to connect through God, through my spirit, which is where the title of my book Within came from. Because believe it or not, everything starts from within, whether it be with your mind, with your heart. It's all coming from within, and you're projecting it outward. So I wanted to figure out, why I was responding and acting in the ways that I had always responded and acting. And if you saw my last video, I told you I used to be very aggressive and angry, because I had experienced so much trauma. By the age of 16, I was just angry, and I had no outlet, and I definitely did not have the tools to be able to work through my anger and aggression until I went to therapy. And that was, you know, not that long ago. So all this time I had been walking around angry and aggressive. So now that I had these tools, I was able to get my emotions in check, and now I could start to work on my spirit being and nourishing who I was within, and connecting again to my spirit being. So this is where my spiritual journey really kind of opened up to me. And at first I was intimidated. I really didn't want to go down that path. I figured I go to church once a week, get my praises in, kneel down on the altar, I go home, and it was just a continuous cycle of the same old thing, which I started to realize did not make me happy. So by connecting with myself, I started to realize the things that made me happy and the things that did not make me happy, the things that I enjoyed doing versus the things that I did not enjoy doing. And I also realized one very important piece of information. Nobody's coming to save you. You have to save yourself. You can't save someone else. You can only save yourself, and no one is coming to save you. Once you gain the tools, you pretty much you understand that, and you realize that you have to put in the work in order to bring yourself into balance and have that peace of mind and peace within. It's totally attainable. If I can do it, anyone can do it, but it was a lot of work and a lot of discipline, self-discipline. And once you begin to use these tools, then you come into your self-mastery, to where you trust yourself. You start to trust yourself, trust your instincts, and trust that what your next move should be. And because you've taken the time out to really get to know yourself and to develop yourself within and mesh it with your human side, which you want to get that balance between your light and your dark. Now, yeah, I used to be aggressive and angry, but I was also kind and sweet and would give you the shirt off my back if you needed it. So I needed to deal with my aggression and my anger in order to bring it into balance with being kind and sweet. So you don't want to go too much on either side. You want to stay right in the middle. But the only way to do this is to master your emotions. So once you start unpacking and you start really taking a good look at who you are at your core, because no one knows you like you know yourself, and you start to just accept who you are and realize these things over here I can do without. These things over here maybe I need a little more of, and you bring it together to a happy medium. So this was what I was working on after my therapy sessions had ended. And I really thought about going back. I still do think about going back sometimes, but I think I have the tools that I need to keep going for now. And if you guys are thinking about going or are afraid to go, give it a chance. It's for you, and it's also something that I think you could benefit from in the long run. So next week we are going to be moving on to chapter 4 of my book, which is titled Identifying Traumas and Triggers. So in the next video, we'll get more into what those emotional and childhood traumas could be, what they look like when they come to the surface, and also how to master them and gain control of them so that you can live the best life that you can for yourself. and to also just gain that inner peace, because you really haven't experienced inner peace until you unpack all of your emotional trauma. So until next week, I thank you guys for joining me, and I will see you soon.